Everyone, thank you all the attendees for joining us today. I hope all the attendees had a great time networking with your peers in our networking lounges. A very good afternoon to all of you. I'm Snehil welcoming you all on behalf of Solar Quarter and First View Group to our webinar on C&I Solar Energy Storage Market Outlook 2022. So before starting today's proceeding, I take this opportunity to thank and welcome our partners for this event. ELAM Energy, our platinum partner, and Laundry, our gold partner. We have a short video of our partner requesting my team to start playing the video.
And competitive controller for your solar and battery projects? In a microgrid with diesel gensets, solar panels, and energy storage, ELAM EPower Control MC minimizes genset use and fuel consumption while maximizing solar energy operation. When solar production is high and battery levels are sufficient, the EPower Control MC enters in battery mode. All the gensets are switched off and the battery inverter becomes the voltage and frequency regulation unit in the network without any power interruption. When the conditions for battery mode are not met, the EPower Control MC enters in genset mode. Third-party genset controllers are turned on and become the new regulation unit in the microgrid. Other ready-to-use strategies can also be deployed based on the specificities of your site. ELAM Energy provides custom adaptation to all projects, including hydro power plant integration, load shedding, quiet hours, fixed power mode for grid injection, and many more. The high level of flexibility of EPower MC does not mean a more complex deployment. Our expert team will remotely perform the configuration, calibration, and tests based on your specific requirements. The users can remotely visualize all plant data on the EPower Monitor web platform and oversee the site operating status through logs and alarms coming from the on-site equipment. EPower Control MC is compliant with most battery warranties. It is also compatible with the main brains of PCS, inverters, on-site genset controllers, meters, or any Modbus compatible device. The controller is fully autonomous. It stores historical data locally and independently controls the plant operation. It has already been implemented in more than 15 countries such as France, the United Arab Emirates, and South Africa. Follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter, or email us at contact@elam-energy.com. In emerging countries, industrial and commercial buildings need a safe and reliable energy supply in order to manufacture and store goods or for the comfort of their customers. However, the daily blackouts of the grid can last hours, which is why they generally rely on diesel generators on site to ensure a stable power supply. This necessary power continuity is costly for business owners, as the energy coming from fuel can cost up to $1 per kilowatt hour in some remote locations, putting pressure on their operating costs. Solar energy has become a great opportunity to reduce these operating costs, since solar prices have decreased when fuel prices were rising. That's why you now see many commercial and industrial buildings integrating a solar plant with their existing diesel plant. When a grid blackout occurs, the diesel generators start operating to power the building. Without a controller, the PV production stops. Thanks to ELAM EPower Control HFS controller, PV panels can still produce energy during blackouts, while ensuring minimum genset loading and reverse power protection to avoid any permanent damage to the existing diesel plant. ELAM EPower Control HFS controller also complies with national grid codes through limiting energy exports to the grid. For bigger applications, such as power plants or mines, the hybrid fuel saver can ensure spinning reserve optimization to reduce plant fuel consumption. ELAM HFS controller is compatible with all the main brands of solar inverters on the market through RS485 Modbus or Modbus TCP, but also with on-site genset controllers, meters, or third-party sensors. It is fully autonomous, and its local intelligence allows it to store the data and operate the plant in case of internet loss. When the HFS controller is connected to the EPower Monitor web platform, site operators are able to visualize remotely all plant data, like power production and consumption, and to oversee the site operating status through logs and alarms coming from the diverse material on site. The EPower Control Hybrid Fuel Saver Controller has already been implemented in more than 15 countries in the world, such as South Africa, Lebanon, or Madagascar.
We experienced the rise of Chinese photovoltaic companies and the transformation of LONGi from a pathfinder and an inventor of technology to an industry leader. LONGi was established in 2000 and changed the game rules of the industry by promoting monocrystalline modules in 2015. In 2016, LONGi's mono-PERC technology brought the industry into an era of high efficiency and low LID. In 2017, LONGi's Bifacial PERC technology increases remarkable module power output with rare side irradiation. In 2019, M6 silicon wafers led the PV industry to an era of 450-watt ultra-high power. With strong innovations, LONGi has made numerous achievements like 24.06% efficiency of monocrystalline PERC cell, the highest production of bifacial monocrystalline modules in the world, continuous technology advances and LCOE optimization. Now, LONGi is about to set off another advancement in the industry once again. The latest LONGi HIMO 5 modules with optimized LCOE, especially designed for large-scale PV stations, are now available. The power output of HIMO 5 is up to 540 watts, with over 21% efficiency. The optimal size of the HIMO 5 module, coupled with sophisticated construction, can reduce costs while increasing power generation. As seen in the PV station in Zhoushan, China, HIMO 5 can significantly lower labor, land, and BOS costs and reduce LCOE. Also, the application of HIMO 5 in Qatar has proved to be a remarkable improvement in cost reduction. The advanced technology of the HIMO 5 leads to optimal LCOE, which is the result of LONGi's exploration of every detail of functionality. New M10 gallium-doped silicon wafer can reduce the linear power degradation to 0.45% per year. Compared with the traditional welding technology, LONGi's smart soldering technology reduces the tensile strength of the cell by 20%, by reducing the distance between cells by 2/3. This technology achieved a 0.3% improvement in module efficiency. HIMO 5 follows a mature and reliable design path, framed, tempered glass on both sides to ensure the load capacity of the modules, with no crossbeam on the back to the module that blocks reflected light to ensure continuous and efficient power output. In practical applications, the size of HIMO 5 is suitable for the main 1-portrait and 2-portrait horizontal single-axis tracking system. At the same time, it is perfectly compatible with the next generation inverters. The working current, including 15% bifacial gain, is kept within 15 amps, without the loss of current generation. Standardization, perfect adaptation, cost optimization, and high efficiency leads to optimized LCOE that enables HIMO 5 to be one of the most valuable products on the market. The high volume production of HIMO 5 is ready. By first quarter of 2021, global supply is expected to reach 13.5 gigawatts. The new HIMO 5 joins the LONGi HIMO family, bringing in a new era with ultra-high value.
Thank you, team, for playing the video. Now it's time to now without any further delay, let's begin session. And the session will be starting with a sponsor presentation by Mr. Divyesh Parmar, Sales Manager India, ELAM Energy. Welcome on screen, sir.
Thank you, Snail. Hello and good afternoon to everyone. Normally, you should be able to view the screen and the PPT now. So, I'm Divyesh Parmar, Sales Manager India at ELAM Energy. Today, I am glad to be representing ELAM Energy Monitoring and Control Solutions for the C&I Solar and Storage projects. So, today I will guide you through the quick company overview for those who are still not aware of ELAM. Then I will move to our main topic of today's discussion, which is why we need an EMS for a battery storage project. Then I will move to the product overview. And last, a few use cases of ELAM microgrid controllers. So ELAM is a French company based in Paris. We have a branch offices in Ahmedabad, India, Casablanca, Cape Town, and soon we'll be starting the offices of Sao Paulo and Singapore. There are already 500 plus sites equipped with ELAM control and monitoring systems across 40 countries. ELAM offers a wide range of products for different segments such as power plants, microgrids, and rooftop solar. So when it comes to utility scale power plants, we offer our power plant controllers with SCADA, which is of course compliant to CEA grid regulations of India. For the microgrids of C&I storage and solar, we offer our microgrid controller or say energy management systems with SCADA. For the rooftop solar segment, we provide our data loggers, zero export controllers, solar diesel integration controllers, as well as the remote monitoring. One of the main strengths of ELAM is that we are almost compatible with all the brands of devices such as PV inverters, battery inverters, whether it is genset controllers, AC meters, or sensors. The idea behind it is as far as these devices can be communicated over Modbus RTU or TCP, we are compatible with those devices. So basically, there are two applications such as grid tied and off grid or islanded mode. Please feel free to read the definitions on screen. Before digging deeply into these applications, I would like to highlight, generally speaking, why you need an EMS for a battery storage project. So, as you all know, batteries are the most expensive component of a microgrid project. So, it is very much important to handle the batteries well for the better battery endurance and the better life of the batteries. Basically, it is very much important. So, once the battery SOC state of charge is defined, then we have to effectively and accurately measure the charging levels of the batteries. So the EMS not only accurately measures the battery charging levels continuously, but also it effectively controls all the energy sources such as solar, DGs, batteries altogether and optimizes the overall plant performance. And that's why we need an EMS. Now the next question comes, why to install ESS? I believe that most of you are aware of the battery benefits or the ESS benefits like increased solar penetration, power supply resiliency, as well as the saving in the fuel cost. But also there are many applications like behind the meter applications like peak shaving, load shifting, time of use management, but also front of the meter services like the voltage and frequency support, as well as the active and reactive power regulation. So coming to the grid-tied applications for the C&I storage projects, hybrid projects. Here is the example of typical application where there is a variable renewable energy source, which is solar. There is a thermal plant with the backup gensets. There is a storage plant with the batteries, BMS and PCS inverters. So here you can see EPower Control, which is our controller, microgrid controller, is communicating with the PV inverters genset controllers, PCS inverters, and grid AC meters over Modbus RTU or the TCP. While doing so, it is taking care of the maximum PV penetration, minimum genset loading, as well as the SOC-based charging and discharging of the batteries. So apart from controlling the overall plant, all the ELAM controllers are also acting as data loggers. So our controller is taking data from each of the source and sending it to our EPower monitor, which is our proprietary platform for the web-based remote monitoring. And it takes care of your operation and maintenance needs. So there are mainly three standard use cases for the grid-tied application. First one is the tariff management. So most of you are aware that in many states in India, like for example, say Maharashtra, the evening time from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. tariff is a bit higher compared to the daytime tariff. So one of the application of the ESS is the tariff management with the time of use of the batteries. So basically in the daytime, batteries are charged from the excess solar, and during the peak tariff periods, the batteries are discharged to get the benefit from the tariff. So here the EMS control functions are the load shifting, peak shaving, and export management. The second application is the auto consumption, means batteries are charged with the surplus or excess solar, which would otherwise be curtailed. Here, the EMS control functions are the export management and the self-consumption. And last but not least, the genset backup. So here, the end user benefit is that the maximum solar penetration as well as the saving in the fuel cost for the gensets. So now some of the grid-tied operating modes for ELAM controllers are the grid feed-in management, wherein ELAM controllers are taking care of the zero export, or it is taking care of the limited export or import from the grid to avoid the grid penalties. The second operating mode is the active and reactive power control. So ELAM controllers are dynamically controlling the active and reactive power as per the grid codes of the country and maximizing the PV output. In some cases where the load control is more critical and important than the grid generation or the plant generation, so we do control the loads as well. For example, we can do the control of the charge rate of electric vehicles, or we can do the on off of the HVAC systems as well. You will find some of the grid tied case studies in C&I facilities, factories, fuel stations, as well as the bank facilities and malls. Now we will move to our next application, which is the off-grid microgrid or island application. Here you can see there is a PV plant consisting of PV panels, PV inverters, a thermal plant with the backup gensets, and a battery storage with the BMS and PCS. So here basically there are two options. Either gensets are running as a primary source or the grid forming source, or batteries are running as a grid forming source. So EPower Controller PPC, which is our PPC controller, is basically communicating with these devices over Modbus RTU and or TCP. And the control philosophies or operating philosophies are based on the technical specifications provided by the end client or the IPP. And some custom logics can also be incorporated. So in terms, we are the vendor agnostic solution provider, which is taking care of the maximum PV output, curtailments of the PV genset start stop, as well as the charging and discharging based operation philosophy of the plant. So for the islanded operation, basically you have two options. Either you are running the battery storage as a primary source or genset as a primary source. So when it is about the greenfield projects, means very new projects where you have sufficiently large batteries to take care of your loads. So in that case, batteries are normally forming the grid, and if the battery state of charge falls below a certain level, then the gensets will be coming into the picture as a backup purpose. So here the EMS control functions are the diesel off mode as well as the maximum solar penetration. And when you are dealing with, for example, say brownfield projects where already you have a big size of gensets, so then you can install or incorporate a additional small battery system into your power plant, and you can do the functions like the minimum genset loading, solar maximization, as well as the spinning reserve optimization. So in next slide, I will discuss about the spinning reserve. So these are some of the operating modes for the off-grid power plant. By spinning reserve, it means it is the immediate energy available to compensate for a sudden increase in load, or if there is a sudden decrease into the solar generation because of cloudy condition or irradiation falling. So in such conditions, we provide and the controllers which are able to fix and determine the optimum spinning reserve, so your plant performance is not affected. The next feature is the minimum genset loading, meaning that when you are doing the solar diesel integration, we are running gensets at minimum 30% loading or at percentage loading recommended by the DG OEM. And when you are running with the solar DG and the storage plants, basically we turn off the diesels when the battery state of charge is high. And if the SOC level falls, then we can run the solar DG and batteries together. You will find the applications of the off-grid at remote islands such as the Leh, Ladakh or Andaman and Nicobar in India. You will find the applications with resorts, mining projects or the agricultural projects. Next, I will move to the product overview. Uh, as you all know, ELAM is providing wide range of products, starting from a small 20 kW data logger to a multi-megawatt utility scale project. Here is the example or the key features of our EPower Control MC, which is our microgrid controller. So basically, this controller is suitable for the small and medium applications of microgrid. Here, the controller is incorporating the standard functions which I mentioned already for the off-grid and grid-tied projects like diesel off, spinning reserve, and many more. But also, we have an option to incorporate the custom logics. So we have the flexibility because, as you all know, that the battery storage project site conditions are different for different projects. So based on the site conditions and the technical specifications of the client, we have to incorporate custom logics as well. And we are very much proud that recently we have introduced our two new products for the 100 kWh and 300 kWh battery storage, which are EPower Control ES and EPower Control ES Plus. These both products are standard, meaning that all the battery storage related functions, whether it is smart control, grid feeding management, or genset loading, genset start stop, everything is inbuilt. So you have an advantage that with the ELAM commissioning tool, e-configuration, or we also call it e-conf, you will be able to commission the plant autonomously. You don't require the continuous support or the on-site support from the ELAM team. So we have made the commissioning entirely autonomous and very quick with this new launch of the products, which is very cost effective also. And last and but not the least, our monitoring platform. So with the ELAM remote monitoring platform, you will be able to view or visualize all the plant performance parameters, critical alarms, or the performance related or the devices data in a single screen for the multiple sites as well. Here are the few screens, sample screens of our monitoring platform, whether it is portfolio overview, plant performance tracking, or inverter data analysis, customized reports, as well as the simplified plant synoptic. Everything is available for your effective O&M needs. And last but not the least, the references. I am very glad to tell you that we have already done more than 40 projects across the globe with the microgrid battery storage projects. Recently we commissioned a project in India with a 1 megawatt PV with Hitachi string inverters, Dyna Power PCS, and three gensets. Here we have deployed our EPower Control MC, our microgrid controller, which is taking care of the peak shaving, ramp rate control, time of the use management, as well as the DG fuel optimization. So we have done similar projects in Cambodia as well as the Bahamas Islands as well. And basically, where the solar plus storage is cheaper than the diesel gensets or the grid power, so there we have installed some beautiful projects with the ELAM controllers, whether it is the Puerto Rico or a remote city of Malawi. So thank you for listening to me. I'm open for the questions in the chat box if you have any questions, or you can write to me or my team as well on the given mail IDs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this insightful presentation and setting the tone of the event. Now it's time for our second sponsor presentation by Mr. Vivek Ganpati, Manager, Channel and DJ Business, Launchi Solar. Welcome on screen, sir.
Thank you, Snehal, for the warm welcome. Okay, let me introduce myself. I'm Vivek Ganpati, Manager DG Business Longi Solar. Let me just give a brief presentation about Longi and what are our recent achievements. As we all know, Longi is the world's leading solar technology manufacturer. Innovation and sustainable development are the two core values of the company. Currently, we are a global team of 60,000 members, and our operation income is 8.4 billion, with a net bottom line of 1.3 billion, and R&D investment in 2020 is 400 million. The numbers which you are seeing on the screen is from 2020. We are waiting for the official numbers of 2021, which are much better than our 2020 performance. And also, we are aptly rewarded with many awards like getting listed in Forbes 2020 and also China's Fortune 500 company and 50 smartest companies in China. If you want to talk about milestones of Longi, it's a 2-decade-year-old company, like started in 2000. Initially, we were into semiconductor business. Later in 2005, we started manufacturing silicon ingots and wafers. And in 2014, we became a much more vertically integrated company. To be precise, we are the only vertically integrated company in the solar panel manufacturing space. Over these years, we have revolutionized this industry with various technologies like RC in-cut pulling, diamond wire cutting, and standardizing our ammonium to wafers. And also in 2015, we became world's number one company in terms of monocrystalline module shipments. In 2019, we have launched our high efficiency modules using our M6 standard wafers. And in 2020, we have launched and standardized our M10 182 mm wafers. In 2021, Longi entered into hydrogen business to promote hydrogen industrialization. And also, we have achieved 3 more world records for solar cell efficiency, which includes our N-type TOPCon, P-type TOPCon, and HJT cells. I was mentioning we are the leading technology manufacturer. In 2020, we made wafer shipments more than 58 gigawatt. And also in 2021, we have increased our production capacity, wafer production capacity, more than 100 gigawatt right now. And also, if I want to talk about cell and module shipment, in 2020, we became the first solar technology company to ship more than 20 gigawatt of modules within a calendar year. In 2020, we shipped 24.5 gigawatt of modules. And also in 2021, we have increased our production capacity further. Our current production capacity is 65 gigawatt. And also currently we have 11 manufacturing bases, out of which 9 is in China, 1 is in Malaysia, and 1 is in Vietnam. And currently our global footprint has reached more than 85 countries, and we are cooperating with more than 5,000 global customers and energy developers in producing green energy, which includes prominent players from India like Adani, Azure, Renew, and Tata, etc. If you want to talk about Longi's financial health, Longi always prioritize its corporate financial health and stability and maintain a low asset liability ratio. It's mainly because we are supplying a product which has a 25 to 30 years warranty, and we strongly believe that we should be financially stable enough to support all your warranty claims throughout this warranty period. To support my claim, on the right side of your screen, you can see, like as per Bloomberg's report, Longi holds the highest Altman score of 5.4 comparing to any other PV module manufacturer. This strongly demonstrates our strong risk control and long-term sustainable development ability. And also, as per Bloomberg's NEF bankability survey for PV modules and inverters, Longi has been rated 100% bankable by investors and energy developers. Now, as per PV Module Tech bankability report, Longi has been rated the only AAA rated manufacturer in this industry. These ratings are based on considering various aspects like the technology used, financial health, manufacturing strength, and ability to adapt market changes, etc. Longi's innovations. Longi's innovations are always a benchmark for the entire industry. As I was mentioning, like Longi entered into this monocrystalline business in 2000. That time, monocrystalline market share was just 2 to 3%. As per recent data, in 2021, 92% of the modules which are supplied globally are monocrystalline modules. Longi's contribution towards this monocrystalline revolution is huge, which includes introducing diamond wire cutting technology, which saves 3 billion yuan, Chinese yuan every year, and also introducing monoPERC modules with lesser first year degradation, and also standardizing wafers, standardizing our M6 and M10 wafers, and also launching a new era of N-type monocrystalline modules. If I want to talk about the quality and performance, Longi modules always perform well in any test which are conducted by third-party testing agency, which includes our recent efficiency record of 25.21 by our N-type top console and 25.19 by our P-type top console. And also, we have received many awards related to quality from TUV Rhineland, RETC, PVEL, and many other testing agencies. As I was mentioning, in 2020, we invested 400, close to 400 million US dollars in R&D. Our cumulative investment in R&D is more than 1 billion US dollars. Easily, we can say that 4 to 5% of the operation income is invested in R&D. That's why Longi is leading this industry with its innovation. And also, we are associated with many industrial partners and research institutes to get regular breakthrough in this monoPERC technology. And our current offerings for Indian market is we are offering our HIMO 4 series, which uses our standard M6 wafers, 166 wafers, which delivers the highest power of 460 watt peak with efficiency of 21.2%. This product we majorly supplied in rooftop projects where space will be a constraint. And also our next offering for Indian market is our HIMO 5 series, which uses our standard M10 wafers, 182 wafers, which produces the highest power of 550 watt peak with peak efficiency of 21.5%. This HIMO 5 series module adopts a new soldering technology, which is called smart soldering technology, which maximizes the light capturing ability of the module and reduces the tensile stress between the two cells. This eventually increases the module efficiency by 0.3%. Also, both our HIMO 4 and HIMO 5 series modules are available in monofacial as well as bifacial. Recently, we are seeing a trend. There is an increasing demand for bifacial modules, especially in C&I segment. By making use of the maximum albedo which is available and maintaining a ground clearance of minimum 1 meter, we can achieve a bifacial gain of 5 to 20% easily. And also, we strongly believe that the coming days will be dominated by bifacial modules. This is mainly because of its additional bifacial gain and also the lesser degradation comparing to the monofacial modules. And the future of Longi. You can see the future roadmap of Longi. As you can see, we are a prestigious part of RE100 Club, where Longi commits to achieve all its energy demand through renewable energy before 2030. And also, we are a part of EV100 and EP100 Club, where Longi pledged to make EV transport the new normal before 2030 and increase energy efficiency by 35% before 2025. That's it. Thank you, Solar Cutter, for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir, for an interesting presentation. Now it's time to begin with our much awaited panel discussion, which is on C&I Solar Energy Storage Market Outlook 2022. And to discuss this, we have in the panel with us Mr. Gautam Das from Urjan Cleantech Private Limited, who is the moderator of the session, Mr. Aditya Malpani from AMP Energy India, Mr. K.R. Harinarayan from U Solar Clean Energy, Mr. Mukul Oja from Sun Edison, Mr. Devesh Parmar from ELAM Energy, Mr. Arijit Mitra from Launchi Solar, and Mr. Hardik Vyas from Enerpark Energy Private Limited. Now, I'm welcome all the panelists on screen and requesting Gautam sir to lead the discussion. But before that, I'm requesting all the attendees to post your questions in Q&A box. Our speakers will take those questions at the end of the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Snail. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for giving me and other panelists to be part of this discussion. Just two minor housekeeping announcement. One is that in case you have any questions, Snail has already informed that you can post them on the Q&A box so that we can address to it. And we'll keep the discussion broadly free flowing. And we request all participants to keep the statement as short as possible so that you can come back to you again if there is any thread you need to circle back. So first we'll go through a quick introduction. And my name is Gautam. I'm the founder and CEO of Urjan Cleantech, former banker, former director of an American bank called Citibank, and I run a solar company called Urjan Cleantech. So we do turnkey project, including funding specifically for rooftop customers, and in open access we deploy financing. So our own rooftop execution could be, I mean, hardly a few years, about 4 5 years. We have executed about project worth about 100 odd crore. And in terms of acquisition and finance deployment, we have done about 600 crore. So about 140 odd megawatt of total solar we have enabled. That's a quick introduction. We'll move to other panelists. We can go to Hari, if you can start with you.
Sure. Thanks, Gautam. My name is Hari. I founded a company called U Solar about 11 years ago, based in Bangalore. We are primarily a rooftop player in the commercial industrial space. We've done over 120 megawatt of projects, and some of our customers include Toyota, Big Basket, Decathlon. We also own some assets, not a whole lot, about 5 6 megawatts, where we sell the energy to the customer. Thank you.
Thanks, Hari. We can move one by one. Hardik, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Solar Quarter, for inviting. I'm Hardik Vyas. I'm looking after the Western region C&I market for Enerpark Energy. Enerpark Energy is into predominantly into C&I space. We do capex, opex in about 2/3 to 1/3 ratio, and we will also soon open up for open access and other solar application, storage being one of them. We have pan-India presence and have done about 200 megawatt installation in C&I space in India. So look forward to interact with all the speakers here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Hardik. Arijit, over to you.
Hi, my name is Arijit. I am part of the distributed generation business unit of Longi Solar. We are manufacturer of solar modules and looking forward for a nice discussion. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Aditya. Uh, Mukul,
Hey, hi. My name is Mukul Ojha. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Silrus Energy. We are focused on residential and small commercial markets.
Thanks, Mukul. Is Aditya there on the call? I can't see him. Snehal introduced Aditya. Is he there?
So he haven't joined yet. He will be
Okay,
joining.
okay, no problem. So thank you everyone for the introduction. So we'll the first part, I mean, few minutes, maybe about 8-10 minutes, we can discuss about the ecosystem. A lot many things happening as of now, and there are many uncertainties. The policy uniformity is not there. So you can start with that, how it is going to shape up the CNI segment, and primarily will the adoption be faster? How can we boost it, or what we can probably seek from the ecosystem collectively? When you say ecosystem, it could be financiers, it could be EPC, it could be hardware companies, and of course the authorities. I mean, if we need, we can be vocal about in case there anything can be improved, or probably we seek revision from the authorities. So you can go one by one. I mean, we can start with maybe Mukul, if you can have anything to talk about the ecosystem, how it can probably improve and the adoption can be faster.
Sure. Thank you, Gautam. It's just incredible that in the last 10 years that I've been part of this sector, every couple of years, something or the other happens in this sector. So, from an ecosystem perspective, I think uh, India as a solar economy is very, very strong with tremendous commitment from the government. And now with the BCD coming into place and ALMM rules, I think even from a manufacturing perspective, the overall ecosystem is going to be quite strong. The vibrant ecosystem required for building products in India has always been, not so great compared to, let's say, China or other countries. But more recently, we are beginning to see smaller companies, entrepreneurs who are trying to build uh, great products. Gautam, you are an example, of course. You guys are doing phenomenal work. So I think the disruptions every few months, every couple of years, is probably one of the reasons why we do not move as fast as we could possibly have. So yeah, to for the ecosystem to be built and created, we need a certain amount of stability. That's my generic thought, Gautam.
Great. Now I'll be a little more specific. So there is nothing wrong to be critical as long as it is forward looking. So my question is to Arijit next. As there are too many things happening as far as OEM or the hardware supply is concerned. India could hardly produce say 25 or 30% on the outer side of the hardware what you can in terms of panel you can deliver. But now there is BCD, now there are ALMM. In a growing ecosystem, be it economy, be it any solar or energy, any sector, don't you think it is too much of regulation, and what could be the way forward?
No, the intents are not wrong, Gautam. I would say that the intent behind the introduction of this kind of regulations are not bad, but at the same time, we have to see whether it is disruptive or not. Now, ALMM, now the authorities have understood that ALMM is something that it is actually acting as a non-tariff barrier, so they extended it. Now, companies like us who has already understood, we have completed all the paperwork and we have made the payment of fees and everything. Now it is their part; they will have to act on how they can inspect. They have understood, they have acted on it. On BCD also, I believe it's a good package for promoting local manufacturing. But at the same time, we'll have to understand that how the manufacturing will shape up, because where we see solar module manufacturing as such, it's not just the module assembling. It has to be module manufacturing from the cell level, or maybe from polysilicon level. So that's not something which BCD actually can bring. I think infrastructure development and other things can actually uh, bring those kind of reformation in the industry. But BCD, if it is revenue collection mechanism, then it's fine. But if import will not happen, then where the revenue will come from? Any kind of thing means duty into zero import is zero. If nobody will import, then the duty collection will not be there. So I think it's a kind of package that government is seeing from revenue collection as well. I'm sure after they will see the kind of imports are happening, the revenue collection, if it doesn't suffice, it doesn't play its role. So maybe they will look into revising it. But yes, any kind of changes in immediate term, if it becomes disruptive for the industry, then I think authorities should look into it deeply.
Okay. Now, more specific point on that. See, promoting Made in India, of course, definitely it's a long-term agenda, and that will boost our economy and the whole ecosystem. Having said that, your policy would be different when you can manufacture 30% vis-a-vis or you can manufacture 70%.
Right.
So we can produce as of now maybe say 30% or 20%. They're implementing a steep BCD or ALMM together. My guess is we are not at a stage where, not guess, it's fact, is that not we are at a stage that we are already producing 70%. We are far, far away to be self-reliant in terms of production. So my questions to Hari, Hari, you're saying, is it too quick and too early and too steep?
Yeah, I think the whole thing is not very well thought of, to be honest with you. Uh, it has to be done in a more gradual and more holistic manner. One day zero, next day 40%. It's really pretty. I think the intent as Mukul and Arjit pointed is fine, but the way they are going about is totally absurd. To be honest with you, I think there is no thought behind the way it is done. There has to be a much more sensible way of getting this done, and they've not done this in the last 10 years, and then just doing this knee jerk, one from 0 to 40, adding ALLM, changing the GST all in a matter of 6 months is. Very, very disruptive and harmful, and very, very poorly thought out, to be honest with you.
Looks like I agree with you. Now, my question is to Hardik. I mean, see, for a OPEX project, for C&I segment, OPEX is a big enabler. I mean, consumer putting the entire CAPEX themselves is of course like we're expecting too much. And availability to either low cost funding or maybe OPEX investor is one of the most, I mean, biggest enabler for C&I segment. So don't and in C&I segment, the GST is the asset acquisition cost, right? If I build a OPEX asset, I don't get a set off when I'm selling power to third party from the GST, right? So GST was increased from 8.9% to 13.8%. That's a significant cost improvement increase. Second, BCD and ALMM. How do you think? I mean, the OPEX market is panning out because that's one of the biggest enabler in the market.
No, so you rightly mentioned. I think the way OPEX evolved was on the background that it's a convenience offered by a lot of players, and especially backed by foreign funds, which were at a much competitive rates. The same goes today also. The moment you see open access and other segments, I think that's the one that is the cost of capital is driving the OPEX market. uh, General sentiments, I mean, if you go by logic or go by facts, that the capital cost, basic cost, uh, commodity fluctuation, I think we can easily consider everything in a commodity, of starting from PV modules to cables to aluminum. Everything is commodity. I mean, there's nothing which is different than a commodity. And third, the GST rates, I think all have cost impacts. We have been seeing that we are trying to convert that into a revised offerings to customers, but somehow I think we have gone through safeguard duty. We will go through this BCD as well. The market somehow has as what I call it, big capacity shock absorbers. So this will ripple out in a month or two or three probably, and somebody will forget that, okay, fine, we are selling with 40% duty, or we are selling at 5% more GST. So yeah, that what I can call it, instantaneous effect is there, but in a longer term, I think this all doesn't matter, because there is always somebody who's offering the same rate or probably even competitive rate. So the logic of adding 5% GST cost or adding duties actually, uh, we can't stand in a market. But yeah, see, I think the mindset now is, I mean, we were discussing backstage that post COVID, most of the industrial houses are focusing too much on their operational cost, and sectors such as automotive or even glass or textile, which are like running on a very thin margin. Every penny saved, whichever way in operational cost, gives them a lot of competitive leverage. So they are okay to even reduce the saving. But if there is any positive saving of 50 paisa to 1 rupee, I think people are still willing to go for it because they want to make some difference. And operational cost is a real critical thing post COVID. So we are not seeing too much of an impact. We still see sub 4 rupee tariff for a shorter term duration. So I don't know how things are happening, but market is somehow learning ways to absorb it, and
Absolutely.
we are still maintaining good prices for industrial houses.
Thank you, everyone. I hope. I mean, there are too many uncertainties in the market, and global supply chain is yet to settle down, and price should cool off hopefully. Otherwise, I think, I mean, looks like the adoption will be impacted definitely for CNI space, because the price have gone up significantly. My I levelized cost of production, if even if you take 10% cost of fund, has gone up by almost 20% in last 3 4 months. Now we'll move to regulatory and storage side. So my question will be first directed to Divyesh. So tell me, if the net metering policy is absolutely clear and you can use power 24/7 bank for a month or maybe beyond, then grid is your virtual battery. I mean, solar is not so big that today that your power plant are, you're not able to schedule power generation. It's not so big. If like solar become 50% contributor to the grid, then I understand. But at this stage, net metering can be used as a tool with unlimited power banking, and you can draw down for the entire financial year. Could be a better solution to any battery storage at this stage. I mean, saying in a long run, of course, the whole dynamic will change. So the ways over to you. Can net metering be more liberal, time bound, transparent, and consumers should get benefit of the grid as a virtual storage, and they can charge a nominal charge? I mean, my operating expense can go up by maybe 50, 60 paise. So any comment on that, Divesh?
Uh, Basically, the other players will be able to answer this more with more clarity. But in my point of view, I guess there are many certainty with respect to the net metering when it comes to the storage microgrid projects as well. Right now, if any customer comes to me for the EMS, he is also asking about what will happen if I am storing the solar diesel controller or a battery controller with your system. So will I be able? Should I get the approvals from the uh, government authorities to connect the solar with diesel or for the battery storage? So I don't think so. The things are very much written and in black and white for this kind of projects when it comes to the storage. And definitely, when the customer is investing very much heavily on the storage, because it is a, I mean to say, it is a 60 70 percentage of part of your investment. So when it is customer is investing heavily in such capital investments, he needs some kind of surety that I will get the proper ROI, and if there is any government policy or not, uh, to for me to be able to spend so much of money on a storage project. So for me, yes, there is a pretty much scope to put in a flexible policy in black and white. And I think the things are moving in Indian market with respect to storage projects, whether it is the PLI for the Made in India, and very uh, prominent players are investing in gigawatt hour of gigafactories. So yes, definitely the policy decisions
Understood.
are there, but also some kind of clarity is also is required.
Absolutely, absolutely. Vivek, anything you would like to add or any comment on this? You're participating as a speaker, I believe. Vivek, sorry, it's my ignorance. Okay, no problem. We'll move. My my the extended questions of this one. See, transcos and the discoms, the transmission companies and the discom or the network owner, mostly the government entities, they are financially weak for the reason unknown to them, known to them only. See, they had a monopoly for probably 70, 80, 100 years, and still they are almost close to bankrupt and financially anemic. And collaboration could be a better way to survive and coexist, because if they allow unlimited banking and net metering, and they can charge something, and that probably financially improve their health. See, nobody can stop solar. One thing is very clear: the energy or the cost of production is much more lower than at what price the consumer is buying. Solar is going to happen. Okay, whether it's at X pace or 2X pace or 3X pace. I think collaboration for transcos and discom are very mandatory, but very, very unfortunate to see that we see otherwise. They are not financially anemic because of solar coming today, right? Could be a small reason, and definitely not the main reason. So, so anybody wants to add that how probably discom or transcos? Of course, we are discussing here is not going to change their policies, but of course, everybody discussing and making noise, positive noise, make a lot of difference. So anybody can say that. Anybody want to contribute that in terms of storage policies? Can we collaborate with discom, or maybe can government or authorities enable them to collaborate with us? Over to you,
Sure.
Hari. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in terms of net metering, you're right. I mean, discoms do suffer a little bit in terms of supposing Toyota moves out of the, I mean, reduces, puts up a 10 megawatt solar plant on its facility, then by that much amount, they lose a premium customer. But I think they have to take a more collaborative approach. It's okay to charge, 40 paisa, 50 paisa for solar generation to provide the grid banking facilities. I think that should be the approach. Unfortunately, that's not been the case. Other than Tamil Nadu, who has recently introduced solar generation tax, which is very high now, almost 83 paisa per unit. No other state really has this generation tax, and they all try to put all these restrictions, no third party investment, you can only do so much. They keep trying to play around with the rules and regulations to not support solar, although in principle they are supposed to encourage the use of solar. And I think Karnataka has one of the better policies right now in terms of net metering and all that compared to other states. But again, there are a lot of hurdles one has to go around.
Absolutely, absolutely. So my next question to Mukul, or you can any other open statements also most welcome. Assessment is most welcome. See, by stopping net metering, as I said, I mean Discom doesn't get anything. Rather, collaboration of course can give them some benefit as long as they are charging a reasonable amount of money. Okay, I think that will help them to coexist, and their asset is already there. I mean their cost of carrying those assets or maintaining those assets are there anyway incurring, right? And as I said, so is going to happen. Do you think centrally government should push top down saying that this is what it is and you have to allow use the grid? Can the busy option or a suggestion?
Absolutely. I think that is a fantastic idea in which, it's a win win for everybody, right? Today, the discoms are scared of allowing a large scale solar deployment because they're afraid that their paying customers will go away. However, the value of distributed generation is so fantastic and so amazing. And it is so important for the renewable future of our planet, because the centralized power plant is a very, very thermal concept, right? Because when you are building a thermal power plant, the economies of scale were such that building a larger plant led to a significantly lower cost of electricity. And that is how the entire sector evolved. However, that doesn't have to be the case with renewable energy, with solar power specifically. And therefore, we must do everything possible to enable distributed generation in this country. One very, very good input from your side, Gautam, is definitely that a policy in which the discoms get compensated for allowing their grid to act like a battery is a fantastic idea and should be implemented pan India.
Absolutely. So I'll just tell you, I mean, in terms of energy management, I think Divya spoke about it briefly. the technology of managing battery or source of power in as a being a ex-banker, you should take power which is the cheapest. And that battery management or grid management or scheduling generation, those technology are reasonably advanced today. I mean, that there are technology available. You can control DG, you can control solar, you can control, and you can give the priority to the power source, which is the cheapest source of power, right? So those technologies are completely much more advanced than the battery technology or the cost of battery per se as of now. Now we'll move to one next question. See, when you talk about storage, any storage you take sodium ion, lithium ion, lithium cadmium, or pumped hydro, whatever technology you take to store energy and reuse it. The operating expense is nothing less than 4 5 rupees. You have done a lot of math for a couple of malls across India. So your operating expense to change 1 unit of electricity, I'm not talking about the cost of production of the energy, to convert into a storage and reconvert it back to an usable AC power, the operating expense of battery and managing that itself is like 4 5 rupees, which completely takes away the commercial benefit of using solar power, right? So there, I mean, of course, like policy can only thing which can solve here. And if anybody has any suggestion that there is X technology which can reduce your expense, anybody want to talk about battery technology? My knowledge is absolutely limited. I don't understand that much, but of course, commercial viability of assets. Anybody want to talk about that battery technology per se?
So, very briefly, I am also not an expert, but one of the interesting things about battery technologies is the rising price of lithium and hence the rising price of the lithium ion battery banks. One had expected that by 2025, a significant reduction in lithium ion battery technology would enable business models which were here to probably not feasible or not economical. And lithium ion batteries coming in and at a reasonable price point, they would solve that problem for us. What has happened is in the last couple of years, uh, the lithium ion battery price curve, which had been declining, has suddenly started rising again. And unless it and one of the primary reasons for that is that in the locomotive application in e-vehicles application, the need for lithium ion battery is so much that they cannot really do without it. And because of the demand in that particular segment, the prices are high today and probably will remain high for some more time. So you're absolutely right. One had hoped that the lithium ion declining prices would solve this problem to an extent, but it doesn't seem that is the case for the next 2 3 years at least.
Any absolutely. Plus one more thing, sorry, quick point. See, you are trying to reduce your dependency on import and be self-reliant on one side. And of course, that's why PLI is coming, the lot of things coming. And any lithium ion or probably metal ion battery you want to do, you're dependent significantly on the import. So of course, a lot more thing has to develop in country and policy has to improve prior to doing any other thing, right? So that's definitely one thing. I mean, probably as the ecosystem or authority, we need to. I mean, they need to look into it. Anybody wants to talk on technology and how can, what do you see or foresee on cost of storage and reconversion of usable energy? Anybody wants to talk on that?
I think I will add my viewpoints on this point. I completely agree with Mukul that, see, basically, there are two things happening now in India. The first one is the fuel pricings are also increasing along with the lithium pricing. So, where earlier the lithium pricing, I would say the LFP batteries, which were around 150, 180 USD per kWh, right now the prices are like 300 USD per kWh. So it has gone like anything. But at the same time, the fuel pricing are also increasing. So maybe there is some balance when it comes to the solar plus storage and when it comes to the utilization of the DG for the remote islands when you are running the DGs for the 24/7. So you will find some kind of balance there. And in terms of the technology, so I think there are some alternatives like If you see, the redox flow batteries are also there, which is the prices are much more competitive than the LFP batteries.
Hmm.
There have been the technology advancement in terms of the sodium ion batteries, and the prominent players like CATL are coming up with the sodium ion batteries in next years. So definitely, and there is also the option of and advancements of the hydrogen cells. So I think the technology is advancing. Maybe it will take too much time, 3 years more, but you will get some options for the higher operating expenditure of the batteries as well.
Like that's absolutely correct, Divesh. See, one thing, I mean, you just add. See, when you talk about convenience, then you don't. Your primary objective is not managing cost. For example, somebody doesn't have power, or it doesn't have a reliable power. Then you can think of battery, because your cost of production of electricity from DG would be say 25 rupees per unit. Then you can probably club solar with a battery, which can increase your cost of energy by say 4 rupees or 5 rupees. There you are comparing with convenience vis-a-vis production, right? So definitely there people have no option. I mean, of course they will do it, right? But commercial viability of storage, of course, is yet to improve. Depends, for example, how much is your current unit price, what you are paying today. So anybody else want to any comment on storage and probably the way forward? So Arijit, you guys are primarily sorry, somebody's saying something. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, I was just trying to add one aspect which you kind of missed. We talked on the technology part,
Hmm.
uh, other alternatives. What are the alternatives? We also touched upon what's the operating cost, and I mean, we know how solar journey started and
Hmm.
where we are. I mean, there was, I think, if you see the lithium ion price, I think it's following the same curve that PV module price followed.
Hmm.
We never saw somebody who's been solar for last 10 years never saw that price is rising up. So we also have a hockey stick curve of module price, and I think that's what we are seeing. But the only aspect that I want to touch upon is there is a lot of market movement happening in terms of storage. So application, if I say the same product used in EV. Now EV, I think every day we are getting two or three news. Somebody, I think, from the ministry told that by 2030, 50% of vehicles will be EV. We know that's next doors. I mean, it's not far off. It's the same product that is used. So what I feel is, while there could be challenges in terms of operational issues, the cost, but market demand will kind of take care of a lot of things once we see at some level in next 2 years. And another thing to touch upon the storage for industrial is, we talked about discoms, this thing. So now what is happening is, I mean, if I specifically talk about, let's say Gujarat has 11-hour banking period only. Now banking, we understand, is at least a month or a year. It's only a daily banking 11 hours, for which they're charging 1.5 rupees. So that virtual storage, what we kept telling, that net metering is a virtual storage, you don't need a storage. Discoms are pushing themselves to the zone where we would need actual storage. And somehow I feel that if they don't improve their operational efficiencies, I think they will soon have a good alternative of storage, because industrial houses or industries which run critical processes, they need uninterrupted power. We have seen industrial consumer having double line, duplicate lines, transformers, US like infrastructure. Why? Because they want the reliability of power, because the operation is so critical. So point is, they have invested heavily on power infrastructure, and I don't see why don't they look at other alternatives. If they don't get a good quality, good rate, competitive rate power from Discom, storage is very much there. And I see that, like somebody was mentioning, Hitachi is kind of, or some other company is kind of moving out of the Discom zone. I don't see that as a surprise, unless they improve their operational efficiency, because somewhere I read that 1% TND loss improvement translates into about 400, 500 crore rupee, which is typically what they will, I mean, that will improve their financial health. So the numbers are really big for them, and I really see storage coming very big, starting from EV, but C&I space is not far off. Starting with some niche application where DG usage is very high, which is a straightforward case. But we may also see in terms of improving reliability, some might start adopting storage as an alternative to grid supply.
Correct, correct, correct. So I think I agree with you. I mean, they have a huge network. Collaboration can give them long-term sustainability, and also they can earn some revenue. I mean, that will rather improve their financial health rather than treating solar industry as a competition. And I think everybody collectively said that if you don't give the facilities, somebody will definitely going to develop some technology where people will go store their own energy and still manage the cost, right? So of course it's a big harm for them. I would say Discom and Transcos, by not collaborating with the solar ecosystem or a wind solar ecosystem, to be specific, in Gujarat. So that's the way to go. I mean, competing will probably kill them more faster than anybody else. So that's the mantra I personally believe. You briefly touched about portable battery. See, portable battery and C&I storage battery will be completely different, because when you compare portable battery, for example, 1 kilometer you drive your car, it costs 10 rupees. But in spite of using a portable storage battery, still your operating expense can come down to 5-6 rupees per kilometer. So that would be a different commercial benchmark when you compare. And definitely that is going to zoom in next 3-4 years. I mean, people will move to portable energy as a source of energy in driving a car or any other uh, mobility product. But in commercial, of course, it's today it's reasonably high, and hopefully private players are coming, technology are improving, and that will improve. That's all broadly from my side specifically. If anybody has any closing comment before we move to Q&A, you are most welcome.
I'd just like to add, I think maybe we are about 5 years away from reliable storage. Only now the ecosystem is developing. EV cars are coming in, and then I think a lot more lithium ion technology or whatever that storage technology. That knowledge is still very rudimentary today. I mean, if you see today, there are scooters catching fire and things like that. So but I think another 5 years from today, that 4 or 5 rupees for storage would probably drop to about 2 rupees. So if you can store effectively for 2 rupees, then I think we are in the game. So, and other thing I'd like to point out, I think recycling of lithium, I think, could be another big game changer. So typically for cars you need very high quality lithium ion batteries, but for generic storage of store and use later, something of a lesser quality might do. So ecosystem where uh, car batteries are converted to for long term storage for solar, that might also push the cost down. So I'm hopeful that about 5 years from today we'll have that number go down from 5 rupees to 2 rupees for storage.
And if you go to 2 rupees, even industrial consumer can go solar
Correct.
comfortably without even bothering about grid.
Yeah, or at least he can, if he generates excess during the day, he can, that 6 to 10 p.m. he can feed his own machinery, and at least offset the grid. You don't have to go off the grid, but at least offset.
No, no,
Going
when I
off is
say,
very expensive, but at least offsetting is
yeah,
possible.
exactly what I mean when I say they can go solar, because including storage, they will still be below the grid and they can use during the evening time, for example, in Maharashtra.
Correct, correct.
So it will complement the grid only. Of course, grid connectivity will be there. Anybody else?
I think Gautam, I would like to add here. I'll touch upon the broad-based things because once we are using solar, we know that storage is in. We'll have to bring storage in, otherwise it's not sustainable to become independent. Getting independence in energy. Now, I actually echo Harinan sir, where we are not at all in a stage where we can say which technology will prevail. Globally, the technology that should prevail is something where the resources are adequately available, and I think where it is a mineral based technology, where lithium ion technology is a mineral based technology, the resources will become very, very restrictive, and there will be a limitation of resources. So I think hydrogen fuel cell and hydrogen storage, also the hydrogen combustion, these two technologies are now coming up, and we are seeing globally there is a buzz. All this sustainable energy initiators, they are getting into this. Even Longi, they are also taking initiative into hydrogen manufacturing. And I think in coming days we'll come to know that which kind of technology will actually prevail. Right now we are really in a juncture where actually the technology will have to shape up in a sustainable way.
Absolutely. And one thing, if I can just add with my limited knowledge, is few years down the line, today BIPV, building out integrated photovoltaic, is not commercially viable. But 5-10 years down the line, even glass windows will be producing some amount of reasonable energy and will give some benefit to you. Okay. So their composition of source are changing, technology are improving very fast. And the good thing is that a lot of intelligent people like you are putting their brain into this business and technology, and things will definitely improve, and you can see the sign of improvement. That's all, Snehit, from our side. You can move to question answer session before we pack up the session.
Sure, sir. I'll show the questions on stage only.
You can, or anybody can read out, for example. Yeah. Devesh, what to you?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, to elaborate, the what function feature you are asking, it is covered under the spinning reserve. So, for example, say your load is reaching to 90 percentage of PV plus storage capacity. So there is a function called spinning reserve. So when the load reaches 90 percentage, we will start the gensets in advance so that they are able to take the loads when it is above 90 percentage or the 100 percentage. So while doing so, you are saving a considerable time like 15 to 20 seconds, which is required to start the gensets and being able to take the loads. So in this case, the gensets will start prior, and your increased load will be transferred to the DGs when the load is increasing beyond the PV plus base capacity. So that's the answer. Hope
So
I
Devesh,
answered your question. Yeah,
Devesh, in any technology, I mean, continuity and cost of energy, that's what we'll try to optimize, right?
right, right.
Okay. Okay. Somebody has a question. Okay.
So I think directed to Longi. Oh, Skype. So, see, this particular technology is a very, incubation stage, and I'm sure our R&D is working on this. But Longi primarily is basically a monocrystalline manufacturer. Our prime business is monocrystalline. Now we are working in various type of cell process to see which process will actually prevail in a sustainable and in a mass scale. Right now, the prevailing technology is P-type PERC technology, but in coming days we are actually looking into option of various other type of cell combination to see which kind of cell will be in a sustainable way suitable. But this particular technology is, I think, it's far off right now. Nobody is working on it apart from some manufacturers. So let's see how it shapes up.
So Arijit, I have a question for you. Maybe like send the question for many people. When can you give us 540 panel again at 21-20 rupees per watt?
That's a good question, sir. I would like to see that price once again.
No, but Arijit, like more importantly, what do you think? Like, what's the bottleneck today? Even if you forget the BCD,
Mhm.
why is it that module prices continue to remain high in April as well?
So actually, when market thought that after BCD the price will reduce, the thing is that the module price globally doesn't get decided by India's policy or regulatory things. So module price globally, the module price get decided by various kind of aspect like how the manufacturing costs are streamlined. Last year we have seen all the components in module, whatever components are being used including power, which is a raw material for making modules, not in India, for the countries where cells and wafers are being produced. They are part of the manufacturing cost of the module. So everything has increased in multiple fold, not just one or two times. There are components which the prices has gone up 7 times also. So, but the module prices has not increased in that proportion. So we can understand all the manufacturers have the margins have gone down. The margins have gone thinner and thinner. Now, no manufacturer globally has the margin to reduce further price if the costing doesn't go down. And in global level, we have seen the silicon prices recently gone up. Although the glass prices may come down, the power prices are stabilized. So any kind of change global supply chain, if it happens, then the prices will change for India also. But globally, we have seen not much changes. We have seen from Q1 to Q2, and also amongst the large markets, solar markets, China has a huge demand right now. Their demand has gone up multiple fold. So because of the high demand, even the prices of raw materials are also, just staying high. So in India market, we can just we can pray the raw material costs come down and the module prices will come down, but we are not seeing that happen in near future. So it's high time the regulatory authorities look into this and do something on the BCD.
So, Arijit, everybody on the panel, you have a common pain point, okay? Everybody knows that solar cell cycle is very, 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 very high, okay? And it was absolutely shock for me being a treasury guy in a bank where I used to close deal in 5 minutes. It takes 5 months at least, right? Here.
I
And,
know.
and yeah, sorry for being casual, the dating phase is much longer than when you get married, right? So thus EPC will be there and finally you close at a paper thin margin and your margin is very, very low, right? And this kind of uncertainty, it's right, increasing the price with the customer is always difficult.
That's true.
Yeah. So customer doesn't relate too much to uncertainty, or even they relate, they don't entertain you so much, right? So this is a pain point for everybody, and we hope that supply chain will stabilize and the price will come down. That hope and pray rather, including
Yeah,
the.
we can actually pray for that. Otherwise, I think we have to ask our authorities to look into the not getting into disruptive mode just to uh, generate some revenue. So, as such, we have seen so many things in last 2 years.
Is there any
Somebody.
manufacturing plans for Longi? Sorry,
Yeah, Hari, carry on. Sorry.
any plans for manufacturing
See, the
locally?
plans
Or
are always there, but it will not depend upon the environment. It will actually depend when Longi company like Longi, and I'm sure many of our peer companies as well, they will see this market as a manufacturing alternative for them, because a company like Longi, where their majority of their manufacturing are there in China and some other countries as well, it is for us our own interest to diversify the risk by putting some other manufacturing locations. But those manufacturing locations will have to have similar kind of infrastructure and similar kind of environment to support the module pricing as well. It cannot be, over the roof, and the quality will have to be maintained. So I believe, not getting into protectionism, we should our government should, get into infrastructure building and seeing how manufacturing environment can be created, rather than getting into economic some kind of economic reformation.
I personally believe, I mean, PLI, production linked incentive could be a far better, it's my personal opinion, incentive to the manufacturer rather than importing PCD or anything at this stage. And I think Ravi Kumar has a question on that. Is it the right time to implement BCD? So, I mean, my personal opinion could be it is too early when your production capacity is very, very low. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, it should have been actually, once the those manufacturing plant could have been operative, and then after, if you could do it, then industry would have not get such kind of setback.
Okay. Somebody has a question called, is there any job opportunity? This is the wrong forum, but I can help you. You can go to Google and type Green Job by Urjan. That's a platform free for recruiter and the job seekers. It's like a LinkedIn of job where we have about 10,000 audience candidates and about 200 installers hiring from there. I mean, sorry, not relevant, but I think there was a question. So Snehal, we have to, pack up by 5 o'clock as per our plan. So unless there are anything, we can conclude and close it.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Okay. So thank you everyone. Specifically, you all of are like extremely knowledgeable in terms of your contribution and your knowledge about the industry. So thank you for making me part of this panel discussion. And we could not see how many people joined, but to all the attendees, thank you very much for your patient hearing. And we all pray and we hope the government authorities, discom, and the ecosystem partners will collaborate and make solar adoption much faster, easier, and commercially viable for the end consumer. What are the uncertainties you can see in the industry, whether it's implementation of ALMM, BCD, or positive things would be PLI and all these things. This will improve the ecosystem and will collaborate more than compete. So that will take us long way, and we'll be able to promote green energy, which will be environmentally sustainable at the same time commercially highly viable for everyone, and wish and that's going to happen. But one thing on the positive note, solar is going to happen. Whether anybody, ecosystem partner, whether it be infra company like Transcos, or a distribution company like Discoms, or a distribution franchisee, or a consumer, solar is definitely going to happen, because this is one of the energy which is highly responsible commercially. Your cost of production at about 10-12% cost of capital would be about 3 rupees hardly. So this nobody can stop. Whether you can collaborate, that's the only mantra. With that positive note, I'll thank everyone. Thanks for your patient hearing, and to the all speaker, thanks for your participation.
Thank you very much to our esteemed panelists for this wonderful session, and very special thanks to Gautam sir for superbly managing the session. So, thank you everyone for extending your time and support for the event. We promise you to come back with many more exciting topics very soon. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.
Thank you,
Thank
Snehal.
you. Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Thank you.
Bye. Good day.